In this video, I've put some practice questions on auto and shop information for you to prepare for the ASVAB test. What is the correct sequence of a 4-stroke cycle gas engine? Intake stroke, compression stroke, power stroke, exhaust stroke, power stroke, compression stroke, and so on. So the answer here is intake stroke, compression stroke, then power stroke, and exhaust stroke. So this is the answer here. So it has to be intake first, then compression, then power, then lastly exhaust. For the intake stroke, the intake valve opens and the piston moves downward, drawing in a mixture of air and fuel into the combustion chamber. In compression stroke, both the intake and exhaust valves are closed, and the piston moves upward, compressing the air-fuel mixture in the combustion chamber. For power stroke, at the top of the compression stroke, the spark plug ignites the compressed air-fuel mixture, causing a controlled explosion. The explosion forces the piston back down, generating power that is transferred to the crankshaft. And the exhaust stroke, once the power stroke is complete, the exhaust valve opens and the piston moves upward, pushing the burned gases out of the combustion chamber and into the exhaust system. So this sequence, intake, compression, power, and exhaust strokes, repeats continuously as the engine runs, allowing for the efficient conversion of fuel into mechanical energy. Which type of wrench is used to turn screw or bolt heads designed with a hexagonal socket or recess to receive the wrench? The type of wrench used to turn screw or bolt heads designed with a hexagonal socket is called an Allen wrench or hex key. So the answer here is Allen wrench. An Allen wrench is a simple hand tool consisting of an L-shaped or T-shaped bar with a hexagonal-shaped key at the end. The hex key matches the size of the hexagonal socket on the screw or bolt head, allowing for a secure fit and efficient turning. Allen wrenches are commonly used in various applications, including furniture assembly, automotive repairs, and machinery maintenance. The air-fuel mixture is determined by your car's ECM, exhaust manifold, fuel filter, or fuel injector. So the air-fuel mixture in a car's engine is determined by the engine control module, or ECM. So the answer here is ECM, which is also known as the engine control unit, or ECU, or powertrain control module. So the ECM is an electronic control module that monitors various engine parameters such as engine speed, throttle position, oxygen sensor readings, and coolant temperature. Based on these inputs, the ECM calculates the appropriate fuel injection duration and ignition timing to achieve the desired air-fuel ratio for optimal engine performance and efficiency. The ECM continuously adjusts the air-fuel mixture to maintain proper combustion and meet emissions regulations. What is the ideal air-to-fuel ratio in a typical engine? So the ideal air-to-fuel ratio in a typical engine is approximately 14.7:1. So the answer here is this one, 14.7:1. This means that for every 14.7 parts of air, 1 part of fuel is required for optimal combustion. And this ratio is known as the stoichiometric ratio, where the air-fuel mixture is chemically balanced to achieve complete combustion, and it provides the most efficient and cleanest combustion process, leading to optimal performance and minimal emissions in gasoline engines. The pictured tool is a blank, this one. Right. So the answer here is pipe wrench. So the one in the picture, given picture here is a pipe wrench. A pipe wrench is any of several types of wrench that are designed to turn threaded pipe and pipe fittings for assembly or tightening or disassembly or loosening. What role does the coil wire play in an ignition system? Transmits voltage from the coil winding to the distributor cap, transmits voltage from the distributor cap to the spark plug, generates the signal that operates the ignition module, or times the spark. The answer here is transmits voltage from the coil winding to the distributor cap. The coil wire in an ignition system is responsible for transmitting high voltage from the ignition coil winding to the distributor cap. The distributor cap then distributes the high voltage to the individual spark plug wires, which ultimately deliver the voltage to the spark plugs for ignition. The coil wire acts as a bridge between the coil and the distributor cap, ensuring the efficient transfer of high voltage to the ignition system components. Which component distributes high voltage to the spark plugs? Rotor, ignition coil, valves, or camshaft? So the answer here is the ignition coil. The ignition coil is a component of the ignition system in an internal combustion engine. Its primary function is to transform the low voltage from the battery into high voltage, typically in the range of 20,000 to 50,000 volts, which is necessary to create a spark at the spark plugs. The high voltage generated by the ignition coil is then distributed to the spark plugs via the spark plug wires, which are connected to the distributor or directly to the individual ignition coils in modern engines with coil unplugged or COP systems. A coping saw is used to make flush cuts, intricate curving cuts, cuts in soft materials, or quick coarse cuts. A coping saw is a hand saw with a thin, flexible blade that is held in a frame, and the blade is held taut by a spring which allows it to be bent to make curves. So coping saws are used to make intricate cuts in wood, plastic, and other materials. So the answer here is this one. A coping saw is used to make intricate curving cuts, and coping saws are not used to make flush cuts or quick coarse cuts, because flush cuts are made with a flush cut saw, which has a very thin blade that is held in a frame, and quick coarse cuts are made with a hacksaw, which has a coarse blade that is held in a frame.